Hey, it's Jay, and you're listening to the Walk With Me podcast, episode 9. I hope you've got your shoes or your bare feet ready and you're out walking. Usually I get to walk by the water and share the sound of the waves in the background, but today will be a bit of an adventure. It's my first day picking up Violet from school via walking, and I thought I would bring you guys along with me. So we'll see what sounds show up in the neighborhood as we walk. She's only a few blocks from our house, and maybe she'll even get to say hi when we pick her up. I am 21 weeks pregnant today, and my breath gets a little bit more and more harder to maintain talking while walking. In fact, I had something funny to share with you. My brother listened to the podcast and was giving me some feedback on it, my younger bro, and he said that as I get bigger and farther along in pregnancy, we should change the name of the podcast to Waddle With Me, which I thought was great. He's so funny. So anyway, I'm excited to talk with you guys every time. So thanks for walking with me, and I'm going to get right into it. So if you're anything like me and you're walking alone, most likely you are, especially if you're listening to this podcast. And we're not alone because we're talking to each other, but we're connecting virtually. And this is one of the biggest challenges, I think, for us as women who are seeking self-actualization, who are trying to make big changes in our lives and go after big careers. It's really easy to become a lone warrior. It's really easy to spend a lot of our time alone, especially when we're in creation or we're going through change. And one of the biggest assets I found in my life, in my personal life, is sisterhood, but specifically sisterhood and sitting in circle. And to be honest, not even just sisterhood in circle. Recently, this past year actually, to bring in the new year, I sat in circle for the first time with my husband and with other women with their husbands. And gotta unzip my jacket, I'm already getting hot. And that was incredibly profound. So it's not just sitting in circle with women and sisterhood, although there is something really special that happens when we sit in sisterhood with women, but it's also sitting in circle and just circle work in general. And if you've never experienced a circle, today's episode might inspire you to get out there and experience your first circle experience. And if you are an avid circle attender like me, then this will remind you of the power of circle. And actually today's episode might even teach you a little bit about holding space and the deeper dynamics of what makes circle so powerful and why it works. And my hope is for you that if you haven't held yourself accountable to attending a circle lately, or if you have been considering deepening your own work in your coaching, spiritual healing practices, or even in the office, or even in your family, this is an invitation to bring circle work into your life more deeper and more consistently. And as most of you know, I lead a group training program, Mentor Masterclass, which is a virtual 12-month program to become a life coach and to deepen relationships and sisterhood. And every year, I create in-person experiences so that we can gather together with other people, get in person together. And last year, I talked about this in the last episode, I ran a whole series of circles in person around captivating feminine leadership because I just felt like we are not doing ourselves any favors by staying behind the screens of our computer and by staying behind the walls of our own home, isolating ourselves from other people. And the main benefit of really being in person is that we feel people's energies when we see them. And we tap into greater and more powerful frequencies, especially when we we gather with powerful groups that are being held in a container where there's an intention for evolution and working through blocks and meeting with people who are like-minded. It's true that we are only as successful as the 5 people that we spend the most time with, and oftentimes we're not consciously choosing who those people are in our lives. The people we spend the most time with are probably our lovers, our children, people in the office, and it's vital and absolutely so important that we get to choose who we're spending our time with, and that we choose people that are helping us to up-level, that are increasing our capacity to deal with our biggest challenges, that are supporting us in our identity changes, and are being a part of ushering through those transitions with grace and ease. And that is what circle work does. That is what getting out in person with people who you resonate deeply with and who inspire you, that's what happens when you're in their energy. And the other thing is, especially if it's mentors or people you admire or people who are up to the things that you're trying to get yourself up to, when you see them, you realize they're real people. They're no different from you. And the impact that has on your belief in yourself and the actions that you take and the strategies that you have access to changes and evolves. And I really want to encourage you to be in circle energy. In fact, in our last episode, I invited you to join me for a live event called the Captivating Feminine Leadership 101 webinar, The Proven Way to Achieve and Launch a Soul-Aligned Business Without Sacrificing Time or Financial Freedom. And I want to invite you to join me for that again. It hasn't happened yet. There's going to be a live version. It's going to be a virtual circle. You're going to be able to see me and the other women there and experience circle work for yourself. And if you weren't convinced in the last episode to sign up and join me, I'm going to work a little harder to convince you, whether you've never joined a circle with me before, or if you think there's no reason for you to join this virtual one because you've joined me for virtual circles before. What's going to happen on this live circle is absolutely going to blow your mind and create an opening for you in your life. And I want every single one of you there. So I'm going to refresh or teach you a little bit more about how I prep for circles. This is some information I shared in a training event I led last year that taught women how to lead groups of women and Sister Circle. And I think you're going to find it fascinating and have a deeper understanding of why circle is so magical and so powerful. You know, circles anywhere when it comes to the feminine are popping up more in our minds as an intuitive way to relate to life. For example, when we think of circles, the secular nature of our being as women, the fact that we run on cycles that repeat themselves every 28 days, we start to recognize and get to know ourselves better just by identifying that as a woman we work in a cycle. And then there's the universe and the planets and the moon and stars, and recognizing that our bodies and our emotions are impacted by these circular planets, the way they move, the way gravity pulls, the alignment that affect us on a daily basis. And then there's the seasons, recognizing that every day begins anew in a circular pattern, literally guided by the sun and the moon. And every year runs on a circular pattern of repetition of the seasons, and that we move through and are connected to those seasons as well. And the same is true when we think of the visualization of sitting together with powerful people in a circle. And what transcends by actually sitting in that shape with other people is an experience that can be felt virtually, and you will feel it in our live webinar if you join us. But the way that impact increases when we're in person together would literally be like witnessing the seasons transcend, would literally be like floating on the circle of a 24-hour day. And it's a recognition and it's a practice that needs to be maintained and committed to in order to have the most growth, especially if you are a woman who is trying to create your purpose through your work, call in money and experiences of pleasure by giving and sharing your talents. But most importantly, if you're trying to be a part of this shift that embraces a way of working and living that honors us as women, to fully embody our greatest gifts and talents and show up in honoring of our emotions, you must have circle work and sisterhood as a part of your life. So I want you to take for a moment before we begin this conversation and just breathe in, filling your belly with air, and breathe out, releasing anything that's stopping you on your walk from being present, releasing this idea of isolation. And another breath in, feeling your belly, nourishing you, your heart, and your presence. Releasing out any distraction to the universe. Breathing in and feeling an acceptance and an invitation to even be connected to a greater circle of women. Circle is a practice of intense present moment awareness, just like yoga or meditation. But instead of working alone, we bring that same meditative skill that could be called the witnessing awareness into the process of communicating and relating with each other. And the way we communicate in circle is really different from what we're used to in our daily lives. There's not always a topic of discussion in every circle. We'll usually be sharing through whatever's happening right now, both within ourselves and in the connections between us. And believe it or not, just staying in the present moment with each other gives us an incredible amount of stuff to talk about. Because in any point in time, when we're actually present, we're all noticing things about each other, noticing things about the world, and then we're interpreting what we notice, and then we're having feelings that enforce beliefs based on those interpretations. And then we're having impulses to respond that are based on the feelings and the interpretations. And out in our daily lives and in our businesses, this process of noticing and then interpreting and feeling and acting usually happens in a millisecond. And often without any conscious input from us. And most of the time it isn't a problem because we can be more or less accurate in our judgments of other people and our interpretations of the present moment. But that means that our feelings and responses will also be accurate enough to the situation, and that we're relying on all of that being conscious in a moment-to-moment basis. And this process goes off the rails quite a lot, especially in complex or emotionally charged situations. We're far less likely to be conscious of what we're noticing, as in like the actual cues that we're picking up on, or how we're interpreting those cues, meaning the story that we're creating about ourselves and our life and our potential and what it all means. And when we're not conscious of what we're noticing or how we're interpreting it, we're far more likely to immediately believe that our story is true, which is another way of saying that we project that story onto the people in our lives and literally the roots of the word project literally mean to throw forward. And when we do this, we forget something really important, that we will never know with 100% certainty what is actually going on for another person, or why a situation is happening to us, or dare I say, for us. And the stance of, I know the truth about this person, or I know why this is happening, and I can make a strong judgment about why this is happening, and whether we make that good or bad, is actually really irritating for the universe to receive, and another person, a relationship in our life to receive. And it often inspires resistance and defensiveness in the person we're relating to, or it causes resistance in us being able to move through challenging situations in our life. And that's just the half of the process when it goes awry. Once we've believed our faulty interpretation of a cue from another person or from something that happens in our life, when we do this and we weren't aware that we were doing it to begin with, that's when the feelings come. But instead of realizing that the feeling is happening as a response to the story, we're likely to blame that feeling on the other person as if they made you feel that way. And as if this situation in your life is causing you to have this feeling that you have no control over, whether that's sadness, depression, frustration, feeling stuck. As if these feelings are caused by a person in your life, or they're caused by a situation. And when we relate to it that way, we then have no control. We have no way to heal, to move forward, to be conscious in our life creation. And then also, people respond to blame about as well as they do to projection, which is not really great. And to top it all off, once we've made a faulty interpretation and we've projected it onto another person and then blamed them for the icky feelings, we're then compelled to react in ways that are consistent with the stories and the feelings. But these reactions won't be accurate to the situation, and they're likely to create precisely the outcome you don't want in that relationship. And when you have two people who are both doing this to each other, that's how you get the madness that we've all experienced in relationships, and the instability we've experienced with other women, and the instability we've experienced when we're going through identity changes and trying to practice being up to bigger things and taking risks in our life and changing our daily lives. And this disconnection with people in our lives and with the situations that are occurring as we challenge ourselves to be better and do better and be leaders creates isolation and limiting self-beliefs that filter into your life and work. So what we're up to in Circle is creating a space where we can slow that process way down and remove as many distractions and demands as possible so that we can reverse engineer that chain reaction. And in Circle, we're trying to stand outside of that chain reaction directly so that we can observe and make discoveries about the kinds of stuff our mind has been up to without our choosing it. And this awareness gives us a lot more choice in the whole process, which gives us the power to communicate and relate in ways that will move our connections towards the outcomes that we actually want. And so it's only a few times a year that I gather people virtually in Circle. And this year, I'm not having any in-person circles. I've led the only ones I'm doing. So far, they're done. But in 2020, February 2020, I'm leading an in-person retreat and sister circle for women who want to come be together in women and learn a few things I'm going to talk about deeper in our next episode. We come together to embrace the art of storytelling as a process for healing and coming to know our own hero's journey, and deeper as a process for creating powerful content and marketing in a way that feels authentic and juicy and captivating. And we also come together to strategize and mastermind with other powerful women leaders and with each other, and to experience what I just shared with you. And all of this is cultivated over a 5-day retreat in Sonoma, California. And you're going to learn more about it in the live free circle webinar. So I want you to take some time to go below the show notes or check out this episode on JeannineYoder.com and sign up for the virtual training. And you'll be able to experience a circle and do some healing yourself around knowing how to slow this process down in your life so you can have better relationships with the people that you're spending the most time with so they can become a powerful influence on you. And most importantly, to invite some new people into that circle of 5, which will ultimately up-level your potential and ability to become more of yourself and tap into the new layers of action and strategy that you're needing in your life and your business. So sign up for that circle. Like I said, we're going to be doing it live. And then if you miss the live version, you'll get the recorded version of me being live, but you'll still be able to join other sisters on a live call so that you're still in circle energy live in the moment. And I'm excited to have this experience with you. And like I said, on that call, if you're wanting to get out from behind your computer screen, if you're wanting to, there's church bells happening right now, there's tractors flowing by, and any second Violet's going to be running out of her class. So, perfect example. If you want to not walk with me virtually, but you actually want to take a little break and retreat from life to slow the process way down in beautiful Sonoma, California, you'll learn about the brand new retreat I have planned. If you've been on this retreat with me before, there are women who come to this annually. Maybe that's you. It's changed. It's going to be different. And also, like I said, it happens in February 2020, so I'll have my baby with me. She'll be 5 months old, and you'll get to meet her. So I hope for you to be able to come and join me in person, and you'll learn everything about that retreat, as well as some special bonuses and early bird pricing, as well as a long-term payment plan that will help make it easy for you to come on the webinar tonight. And also, if you, not tonight, you can sign up today. And if you want to check out the retreat and go straight to that, you can go to thecaptivateretreat.com, get all the info, and secure your space. I just pulled up to Violet's school. I'm going to pause this for a minute, and maybe I'll let her come say hi before we walk home.
Some smoothie bowls on the way, too.
A smoothie bowl on the way home? Do you want to say hi to all my friends? Say hi.
Hi.
Guess what? Violet found a ladybug today. She's been talking about this ladybug, and her teacher just told me that she found this ladybug in her lunchbox, and you've been looking for this ladybug that you named. What's her name? Rosie. And she showed up in her lunchbox today. I have to look up the spirit animal medicine of ladybugs. So Violet and I are going to go take a walk and get some ice cream or smoothie bowls. Smoothie bowls too. Okay. And then we're going to walk home together. And I want to thank you for walking with me today. And I hope this inspired you to acknowledge the power of circle in your life, whether that's from a cyclical way of looking at the world, or whether that's by joining and experiencing a virtual circle, and hopefully considering, joining me in person for our retreat in February 2020. So until next week, we'll walk together in our podcast, but if you join us for the live event, I'll see you even sooner. All right, sister. Catch you on the other side.